and soon to be the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Everybody, it's someone's birthday. Join with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, President Trump. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, this is a nice crowd. Got a lot of people outside, but I think we're going to have to keep it that way. Thank you. Well, I just want to wish a very big hello to Club 47, which used to be Club 45. Now it's 47. It did very well as 45. It's going to do even better as 47. There's nowhere else I'd rather be on my birthday. It's Flag Day, my birthday, than right here with thousands of proud American patriots from the great state of Florida. Let me begin by saying to everyone all across South Florida who were affected by the recent flooding, our prayers are with you. That was rain like few people have seen. Floridians are tough, and we will pull through it and pull through it quickly. And I just want to wish you all the best. We love you. God be with you. They had some tough times last few days. Thank you. I also want to thank Larry Snowden, and I'll tell you what, you just saw him. He's a great speaker. He's not a singer, but he's a good speaker. Not a great singer. He's not Pavarotti. Do we agree? But he's a good man. Sue Snowden and Linda Stock for their outstanding work. Incredible people. Along with Senator Marco Rubio. Thank you very much, Mr. Senator. Thank you. Thank you very much, Marco. Great job. And we have some members of Congress here. They're warriors. Corey Mills. Corey, thank you, Corey. These are great people. Mike Waltz. Thank you, Mike. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, he was my doctor in the White House. He said I was the most healthy person he's ever seen. Thank you very much, Dr. Ronnie. He was a great doctor, a great admiral. Now he's a great congressman. Nancy Mace. Nancy, thank you. She won a big race. She just won a big race by a lot. Brian Mast, a very good friend of mine. Phenomenal guy. More courage than all of us. And Gus Bilirakis. Gus, thank you very much. They've been so fantastic. That whole Florida delegation. State representatives also here. Webster, Barnaby, Webster, thank you for the big prayer. Webster gave a beautiful prayer. And Rick Roth. And we have Ambassador David Friedman here, everyone. He loves Israel. David, thank you, David. And former ICE acting director, and he's not acting in my book, he's just the director, he's the boss. There's nobody that knows more about the border than Tom Homan. Tom Homan. Where's Tom? What a great guy he is. He'll have the border. It'll take him about 2 minutes to fix it. It's the worst border in history. Florida CFO Jimmy Petronas. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. In Florida, GOP Chair Evan Power. Evan, good job you're doing, Evan. We appreciate it. Countless members of the Palm Beach Trump campaign, they're all here. We have a woman that nobody's ever heard of, but she works very hard, Kellyanne Conway. Nobody's heard of Kellyanne. Thank you, Kellyanne. Thank you, honey, for everything. And we have World War II veteran and former B-17 ball turret gunner. You know what that is? That was dangerous stuff. Charles Phillips, who I just met, he's incredible. He's 101. He looks better than me. And he looks a hell of a lot better than Biden, I can tell you that. And he's got more guts. And my sister, Elizabeth. Where is Elizabeth? Right there, my beautiful sister. She's a great sister, too. Great one. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. And all of you, thank you very much. With the help of everyone here tonight, we're going to win this state in November. We're going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. We're going to put America first, and we are going to, quite simply, make America great again. Less than 4 years ago, our border was secure. Inflation was nowhere to be seen. We had it down to a science. The world was at peace. And instead of weakness and failure, America was stronger and more respected than ever before. It was never so respected as it was for 4 years, just 4 years ago. Now, under crooked Joe Biden, the world is in flames. We have a country that's being laughed at all over the world. Our border is overrun. Inflation is raging. Europe is in chaos. The Middle East is exploding. Iran is totally emboldened. They were broke when I was president. China is on the march. And the worst, most incompetent, most corrupt president in history is dragging us toward World War III. Under crooked Joe Biden, illegal aliens are better off. Terrorists are better off. China is better off. Russia is better off. The cartels are better off. But the American people were far better off when you had a president named Donald J. Trump. Has anyone heard of him? Has anyone heard of him? Under my leadership, we had no wars. Instead of a globalist warmonger in the White House, you had a peacemaker at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We had energy independence and soon would have been energy dominant. We were dominant all over the world within a matter of months. We were going to be energy dominant, but we went to #1 in the world under Trump. I gave you record tax cuts, record inflation was knocked out. We had inflation like you've never had it, and now we have more inflation than probably, they like to say 52. and then 62, and then 75 years. I think it's the highest inflation we've ever had as a country. It's a country buster. But we have regulation that nobody has ever cut regulations to the extent that I did. We had rising wages, and we lifted up all Americans, black, brown, white, and everything else. They were all lifted up. Everybody had jobs. Everybody was doing well. Women, men, everybody was doing well. If you had a diploma, if you didn't have a diploma, if you graduated #1 at MIT, if you didn't graduate at all, every single group was doing better than ever before. We stood up to China like nothing, like nobody has ever done. Everybody was being taken advantage of by China, to put it mildly, bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars when no other president had literally gotten 10 cents from China. We brought in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. We created Space Force. We rebuilt our military. We had it totally rebuilt. We obliterated we did something that everybody said you couldn't do it or it would take years. We quickly obliterated the ISIS caliphate, and we kept radical Islamic terrorists and jihadists the hell out of our country. We kept them out. They weren't here. I never used to like to talk about it. I didn't want to say while I was president, but I kept going and going. We never had an attack when I was president. We never had an attack because we kept them out. We had the strongest border in the history of our country. Now we have the weakest border in the history of the world. Very simple. It's not good. What's happening in our country is not good. The fact is our country is going to hell, and we're going to stop it. We're going to stop it fast. But now, instead of keeping out terrorists, Joe Biden has allowed thousands and thousands of terrorists to pour in. For years, I've been warning that Crooked Joe is letting the world's sickest, most vile criminals infiltrate our southern border, and now everybody agrees that I was right. They're coming out of prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They're coming from countries all over the world, not just South America, but Venezuela. The violent crime is down 72% because they've taken their criminals out of Caracas and all of the different places, and they've moved them into the United States of America. Thank you very much, Venezuela. We appreciate it. Think of it. They're emptying out their countries all over the world of prisoners, of criminals, of drug dealers, and they're dropping them into our country. And we have a president who has no clue what the hell is going on. Just look at him yesterday. Look at him the day before. In Europe, he doesn't know where the hell he is. Our country has never been in danger like it's in danger right now. Just this week, ICE has arrested not one, not two, but 8 suspected terrorists at the highest level of terrorism. We had a year, one of our years, I don't even believe it, it's too good to be true, but we had a year where they actually have down 0 terrorists came in. If you look at 2019, that was a Trump year, 0 terrorists came in, 0. I don't know if I even believe that, but it was certainly a nice report that was given out by the fake news, but maybe it wasn't fake. But I will tell you, that was the best stat that anybody had heard to that point. Now hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of terrorists are pouring into our country. We're going to be paying a big price. We've got to do this. This is the most important election that our country has ever had because we're a failing nation, and we're not going to be a failing nation for long. We can't allow it to happen. According to reports, many of the terrorist savages entering through Joe Biden's open border. Can you ever imagine an open border where people are pouring in by the hundreds of thousands and by the millions? An open border. Crooked Joe Biden released these terrorists and all of these people into the United States, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. We have no idea who they are, where they come from. They're pouring into our country like never before. It's crazy. So he set them loose to spread their terror network all across America, and he probably doesn't even know it because he doesn't know where the hell he is. You know that, and I know that. I looked at the fake news today, and they were saying what a wonderful job he's doing in Europe. The guy is lost. Every time he does something, all he has to do is complete it, sort of. And the fake news, CNN, MSDNC, CBS, ABC, NBC, they go out, no, they're fake. There they are. Look at how many. That's a lot. That's a lot of fake news back there. Wow. It's a lot. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're hurting our country badly. They're hurting our country badly. Biden gets up, makes the worst State of the Union speech anyone's ever seen, and every one of them said, wasn't he wonderful tonight? Wasn't he wonderful? So in addition to all of his other well-documented offenses, crooked Joe Biden is now also guilty of providing material support for terrorism. Under Biden, there's been a 3,000% increase in the number of people on the terror watch list crossing into our country from the southern border. 3,000%. And that comes from the Border Patrol. Our country is going to pay a steep price for many, many years. This is a terrible thing that's happened. Now, here's the story. We have time tonight, right? This is only if you want it. Only if you want it. But by any chance, has anybody ever heard of the snake? The snake. Do we want to hear it tonight? Does anyone not want to hear it? That's the end. I have to do it, right? So this is really a metaphor. It's a song that was written long ago, not having to do with illegal immigration, but it plays very well for illegal immigration, and I've done it, and people like it a lot. And we'll do it. It takes just a minute, but it's very salient. It's something that is very salient and very accurate, unfortunately. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died." She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, "Thank you, ma'am," the snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." Right? That's where we are. That's what we're doing. We're taking people in, and those people are not the right people. We're taking people in, and we're going to have a lot of problems for a long time, and it's a shame. It's a shame. It's so sad to watch. Our country is being destroyed by incompetent people, by grossly incompetent leadership, probably the dumbest leadership in the world. In fact, I think we should have, and I've called it, all presidents should have aptitude tests, IQ tests, or cognitive tests. Dr. Ronnie Jackson gave me one. He gave me one at the hospital. That's a great hospital, too. He said, well, sir, the problem is if you don't do well on it, it's going to get public. Because it's a public hospital, essentially, right, Ronnie? I said, well, is it hard? He said, yeah, it's hard. The last 3 quarters are pretty hard, right? The first question's easy. I said, well, let's do it, Ronnie. Let's do it. Did I ace it? I aced it. He said I aced it. Doc Ronnie from Texas. On day one of our new administration, we will seal the border, stop the invasion, and send Joe Biden's illegal aliens back home where they belong. We have to get them out. We have to get them out. Biden has given us no choice. The largest invasion in the history of our country requires the largest deportation in the history of our country. The largest up until now was Dwight D. Eisenhower, General Eisenhower, President Eisenhower. He did not like what was happening at the time. But you know what? That was a peanut compared to what's happening now. That was a peanut, a mere peanut. As we secure our border, I will also take immediate action to save our economy. As of this week, Crooked Joe has inflicted the longest period of continuous inflation in many, many decades, many, many years. At least 38 straight months where it's over a number that's unthinkable. Unthinkable. These are unthinkable numbers. 5, 6, 7, 8, and even 9%. And then he tried to blame me last week, and even the fake news stuck up for me. He said, when I inherited the country, inflation was at 9%. That was just another one of the Biden lies. Inflation was at 1.4%. And thank you very much, fake news, for sticking up. They lie so much. That Biden group, they just lie. That's all they're good at. It's called misinformation/disinformation. Almost the same, but not exactly. But we won't get into it. Biden inflation, price hikes, and energy destruction have cost the average American family an astonishing $28,000. The monthly cost of a typical mortgage has doubled under Crooked Joe Biden. The 30-year mortgage rate is pushing toward 10%, and you can't get the money anyway. You know, with us, it was 2.5%, right? And there was plenty of money for everybody. On day one of my new administration, we will throw out Bidenomics and replace it very quickly with Maganomics. We like Maganomics. We will quickly rebuild the greatest economy in the history of the world, and America will prosper like never before. We will bring our country back. We will bring it back quickly. It's going to be quickly. Weak and failed Joe Biden has no plan to stop inflation. He has no idea what the hell is happening. He doesn't know where he'll be in an hour. Where are you going to be later on this evening? I have no idea. His only ideas are spending more money, letting in millions more illegal aliens for whatever reason. You know the reason. Look, either they're stupid, and they can't be stupid when they cheat the way they cheat. Nobody ever cheated like they cheated. So either they're stupid or they hate our country. But there's a third reason. They want these people to vote. The only problem they have is if you're talking about Hispanic Americans, because a lot of Hispanic Americans, they're voting for Trump now. They're not voting for him. They like Trump better. They don't like incompetent people. By contrast, I have a plan to end the Biden inflation nightmare, and it will end very quickly. First, I will stop Joe Biden's inflation-causing spending spree and impose an immediate moratorium on Crooked Joe's hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in waste. He is wasting hundreds of billions of dollars. Even Europe. Did you see? He flies back and forth and back and forth. He spends a day and then comes back. He falls asleep at every single event. The one beauty was here's a parachute landing. Everybody's watching, and he's turned around in the other direction. The new leader of Italy did a great job. She said, "Turn around, you fool." No, they don't respect our country anymore. But then his wife Flew back and forth like it was a taxi cab. It's Air Force One and or Air Force Two. I mean, just back and forth, back and forth. Let's go, sit at a trial for a day, go back, forth, back, forth. It's really terrible. But that's endemic of the big picture. That's very endemic of the big picture. Crooked Joe spent $8 billion to build 7 charging stations for an electric vehicle. Did you know that? Spent $8 billion to build 7 charging stations. Can you believe it? He spent more than $1 billion apiece. Now they build about 1 million more stations. This is the craziest, this whole electric mandate. If somebody wants an electric car, I think that's great. But if you want a car that can go long distances, that's less expensive, that's made in our country, because electric cars are made in China, they're very expensive, and they don't go far. And I'm all for them, but if somebody wants one, we want it. But we want to, if they want gasoline or if they want a hybrid, you have to be able to get them. We will end his crazy electric mandate on day one. It'll be ended on day one. I will not approve 1 penny for the Green New Scam. It's called the Green New Scam. Second, I will end Joe Biden's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. And I've set the goal that by the end of my term, America will have the #1 lowest cost of energy and electricity all over. You know, if you go to New England, it's the most expensive energy practically on the planet. And we're going to get energy prices reduced within the first year to less than half of what they are right now. And that's going to bring down inflation. Third is to fight Joe Biden's inflation. We will stop the Biden migrant invasion, which is causing us tremendous problem. An estimated 50% of inflation has been caused by the soaring cost of housing, which is skyrocketing due to illegal immigration and high interest rates. You got to see, the migrants that come in illegally, in many cases, they're criminals, I said, from jails and from mental institutions. They're getting treated better than our military, than our veterans. Our veterans are lying on the streets, and we're taking care of people, putting them in luxury hotel rooms. And our military is lying on the street. It's all going to end. Crooked Joe let in 16 million people so far with no place to put them. This is not sustainable by any country. Biden's illegal aliens are driving up rent, food costs, health care costs, taxes, and more. How about Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom is the failed governor of California. And he was saying, come to California, we'll take care of your health care, we'll take care of your hospitalization, we'll take care of everything. And you know what happened? Everyone believed him, and they're all pouring into our country at levels never seen before. They're worse now. Then he comes up, you know, he's getting killed in the polls. You know, there's a guy named Trump that's killing this guy in the polls. So they came up with a phony border plan. The congressman know very well, totally phony plan. And he never used it. He never used it. It was no good anyway. It allowed millions of people to come in. It was the worst, stupidest plan I've ever seen. But he decided not to use it because more people came in after he did the plan than we've ever seen before. Thousands of people a day started pouring into our country. This was last week. This was last week. It's a disgrace what's happening to our country. They're laughing at us all over the world. President Xi of China, you take a look. Kim Jong-un of North Korea, take a look at what they're saying about us. They can't believe it's happening. In fact, if it weren't for the stupidity, the dumbest move, the worst, I think the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, Afghanistan. The way we got out, not the fact that we were getting out with dignity and strength and power. We were keeping Bagram, the Air Force base, because it's only 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. You know who occupies Bagram right now? China! They occupy one of the biggest air bases in the world with the biggest runways, most powerful, strongest runways, deepest concrete. That was when we knew how to build. We built with big dollars, and we built it, and we gave it up, just left. 1 hour away from where China, now China is occupying it. It's a disgrace. They laugh. They think we are so stupid. They think he is the dumbest human being. They can't even believe. President Xi says This is some kind of a trick. When Biden walks in and he has no idea where the hell he is, where are we? Where are we? He can't find his way off the stage. See the stage? We got stairs all over the place. He can never find his way. I don't want to imitate, because anytime I imitate, they say it was Trump. I called up our great First Lady. I say, I made this great speech. 58,000 people. I made this speech, and then I imitated him trying to find his way off the platform. I go, you know the way he always goes like, huh. And then he looks around, where the hell is he going? He's pointing to us there. Then he but you know what? These Secret Service guys are stars. They always run up and grab him. They run up. They see he's in big trouble. But I imitated him not long ago, and I did the full imitation. Then I ended up walking into a wall. And I said, baby, how good was that? How great was I tonight? We had some crowd. That was a massive crowd. How good was I? You were really good. You know, usually she'll say, I didn't like your hair. I say, how good was I? You didn't look great. Your hair was terrible. Oh. I said, who else can get crowds like I get? Nobody. 68,000 people in Alabama. 107,000 people in New Jersey 2 weeks ago. 107. 25,000 people in the South Bronx. And it was a love fest. It was a love fest. Now we get the biggest crowds in the history of politics. I hate to say it. And by the way, if it weren't true, there would be headlines. But I said, who else can get these numbers? He told me, how good was it? And she'd say, you know, your suit was bad. Have you gained weight? I'm saying, here I am up there. But, you know, one day she said, it was phenomenal. But what happened? You couldn't find your way off the stage. And I said, they said that, so I can't kid anymore, because they know we kid, and we can't be sarcastic anymore because they take it, Byron, they take it as the truth. Isn't that terrible? My great warriors over here, they know we're kidding. We can't kid anymore because these people are so dishonest. I said, no, I was just imitating crooked Joe Biden. She said, oh, I see. Well, they didn't say that. They just showed you running into walls. And fourth, I will cancel every unnecessary and costly Biden regulation that is driving up prices. The Biden regulations have added $10,000 a year in regulatory costs per household. By contrast, under my administration, we saved $10,000 per household. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. More tax cuts than any president in history, including Ronald Reagan with his big tax cuts. More regulation cuts than any president in history. And we rebuilt our military and we added Space Force. What we did is incredible. Now, the rebuilt military, you know, unfortunately, this fool left Afghanistan with $85 billion of brand new planes and tanks and even goggles, night goggles. 77,000 vehicles. Think of it. Who needs 77? If you took the largest used car lot in Florida, I'll bet they don't have more than 500 cars, maybe 700, maybe 1,000. 77 trucks and vehicles, many of them armor-plated, were left in Afghanistan. And I tried to explain to people, we were getting out with dignity and strength, but the first thing you do is you take your military out last. They took the military out first. And once the military were gone, the Taliban had a field day. We lost 13 soldiers, and nobody mentions the 38 soldiers that were horrifically wounded with their arms blown off, their legs blown off, their face so badly damaged. They're warriors. They're warriors. But nobody mentions them. I mention them all the time. I mention them all the time. And we left many people there. Americans are there right now. And we should have never left that big, beautiful air base. We should have never left it. There has never been a more embarrassing moment, in my opinion, in the history of our country. And because of that, Putin attacked Ukraine. I mean, that's what happened. He looked at these incompetent people. He said, is this what I have to deal with? If I were there, he would have never, ever even thought about attacking Ukraine, and he didn't. And fifth, while Biden wants to drive up prices even further with the largest tax hike in history, all my life I've been watching politics, and I've always sort of enjoyed politics, I guess. Otherwise, I wouldn't be up here right now. But I've been watching it, and I've always seen politicians want to do tax cuts. This is the only group. They want to increase your taxes by 4 times higher than you're paying right now. They don't want the Trump tax cuts to be permanent. They want to end the tax cuts. We gave you the largest tax cut in history. They want to terminate that at the end of another 6-7 months. And can you imagine that? And I want to make them permanent, and then I'm going to reduce taxes by still more. Do you know that after we gave the tax cuts, our country took in with half the tax. Our country took in because of incentives and because we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Do you know we took in more tax revenue with far less tax? We taxed at far less, but we took in much more revenue. Think of that. So we cut taxes down from 49 for business, 49, much more than that when you add in state and local, down to 21%. And yet we took in more revenue at a much lower rate. Who would think that's even possible? But that's the way it works. I want to get it down still further, and especially for the middle-income people. We're going to get it down still further. That's why we had such great job production. Best job production in history. And as part of those tax cuts, I've announced that I will eliminate taxes on tips for restaurant workers, hospitality workers, and anyone else that gets tips. No more taxes on tips. You know how I did that? It wasn't really a lot of study, a lot of work. I've been hearing about it for years, how unfair it is. And Biden just passed a set of regulations that make it impossible for waitresses and people that get tips, any people getting tips. He passed something that makes it impossible. But I've been hearing, and last week I was in Las Vegas at a beautiful building that I built and is great, the Trump Hotel. And I'm having, oh, you like it, I like it too. And I was having dinner with a group of people on the campaign. And the waitress came over, she was very nice. And I said, if you could have any wish, what would it be? She said, that we get rid of the taxes on tips, sir. They're so vicious. You know, they hired 88,000 IRS agents to go after people. And she said, it's so vicious what they do, and the new regulations passed by Biden are so vicious. And I said, wait a minute, I have an idea. We shouldn't have people pay tax on tips. Will I have your votes on that in the front row? Would that be good? We got 6 votes. We don't even need the votes. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it quick. No tax on tips, okay? It's done. Done. And we need to spread the word so that every time you leave a tip for the next 5 months, you put on the receipt, vote for Trump because there's no tax on tips. You see that? That was done. See the screen? That was done by somebody. They voted. This is a person paying. And they said, vote for Trump. There'll be no tax on tips. That's a person that was a tipster as opposed to a tippee. But it's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones that can stop them. And it was just announced that they withdrew the lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. Did you see that? Accusing him of everything under the sun regarding the laptop from hell. They just withdrew the lawsuit on the basis that Rudy Giuliani turned out to be right. He was right. He suffered and he was right. They said the laptop from hell did not come from Russia. It was not Russian disinformation, like the 51 intel agents said. It was a made-up story for election interference, and I assume that we're going to be talking about that subject at the debate. Is anybody going to be watching the debate? You know, they made an offer to me that I couldn't accept. They said, let's offer him Jake Tapper, CNN. We'll go Jake Tapper, CNN, fake Tapper, CNN. Let's have no audience. Let's have both parties sitting down. And let's have just a sealed room with just the two of them, plus, I guess, a couple of hosts. So that was an offer that nobody would accept. I said, I'll do it, because they assumed I wouldn't. And then when I didn't do it, they could say, well, we offered it to Trump and he rejected, but I accepted it. And I'm sure, I think Jake will be fair. Does everyone think he's going to be fair? Ronnie, no? You don't think so? He may. Let's see. Look, he's got his reputation at stake. Got his reputation. And CNN has their reputation. You know, they're doing very badly in the polls. They're going to get big numbers here. But it's being actually sent out to all the networks, to every network. So it should be a big evening. They say Super Bowl numbers. So everyone's going to watch. You'll have to be screaming at your television set all night, I suspect. I don't know if it's going to be very exciting when you think that there's not going to be an audience. There's not going to be, not your family, not anybody, just the two of us. So exciting. But I said, I'll do it. I'll do it. One thing I said, we should stand. You know, he wanted to sit. And I said, let's stand. I think it'll be a little bit nice. But all of their persecution is only happening because I am running for president and leading big in all of the polls. And since the rig trial in New York, my numbers have increased very substantially, and fundraising is at an all-time high in the history of politics. Crazy. As of today, we're leading Biden nationally and in every single battleground state. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. You know, all my life I had no problem. Now, within a period of a few months, I get indicted more than Al Capone. Al Capone, Scarface. My parents are looking down at me saying, how did this happen to you? By the way, you know that if I wasn't running or if I was in fourth place or something, none of this would be happening. But we're onto them. Everybody in Congress is onto them. They're a bad group, and it's all election interference. I'm being indicted for you. Remember that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. In the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I always will. I always will. It's a big crowd of people. Thank you. This is the biggest birthday party I've ever had by far. By far. Look at this party. And they got twice as many standing outside. They can't get in. You explain it. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country, and we need them. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. And I will do something that nobody else will be able to do. I will prevent World War III, and we are very close to being in World War III. If I was president, the Afghanistan disaster would never have happened. Ukraine would never have happened, would never have been invaded by Russia. I had an understanding with Putin. There's no way it would have happened. And the October 7th attack on Israel would never, ever, ever have happened. It wouldn't have happened. Iran was broke. Iran was broke under the Trump administration. Now we have Russian warships and nuclear submarines surrounding Cuba, 60 miles off the coast of Florida. How does that make you feel? Do you feel good about that? And that's only because Biden's weakness is putting us in grave danger. Putin has no respect for him. No foreign leader has respect for him. The only thing they're good at is cheating and misinformation. That's all they're good at. As president, I will restore peace through strength. We had no wars. Remember, we had no wars during Trump. Remember, Hillary was saying, he's going to cause us wars. His personality. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars. In my next term, we will build a great iron dome over our country. We deserve a dome. We deserve it. All made, state-of-the-art. It's a missile defense shield. And it'll all be made in America. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Why don't we have it? You know, Ronald Reagan wanted to do that many years ago, but at that time we didn't have the technology, in all fairness. It didn't work. People said Star Wars, Star Wars. He was right, but he was too early because we didn't have the technology. Now we have unbelievable technology. It's all going to be made in the United States. We're going to have a big, beautiful iron dome over our country. To further secure America's future and create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto, and we will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. We're going to keep it right here, and a lot of it's going to be done right here in Florida, right? And I will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great seniors. Remember this. By allowing millions of people to pour into our country, he is putting Medicare and Social Security at very serious risk. We're going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it. It's a bad problem. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they have ever been before. Right now, they're crime-ridden, horrible places. You can't walk down the street, all run by Democrats, by the way. We will take over our horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C. It's a crime-ridden place. We will clean it up. We will renovate it. We are going to rebuild our capital city so that it no longer is a nightmare of murder and crime. There will be no murder. There will be no crime. We will have powerful law enforcement for the criminals. But rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world, which it should be. It's so sad. People go down to Washington, D.C. They want to go from Iowa. They want to go from all the different places in our country, and they end up getting murdered. They end up watching murder. They end up getting into fights. It's a hellhole. It's so badly run. We're going to take over the management and the running of Washington, D.C. We're going to clean it. We're going to make it safe. We're going to rebuild parts of it. It'll be the most beautiful capital and the safest capital anywhere in the world. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the minds and bodies of our children. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep men out of women's sports. Day one. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous. Men in women's sports. What a ridiculous thing. Have you seen the records that are being broken? Records that have stood for 18 years are being rather smashed. I want to be nice. They're being smashed. It's so disrespectful to women. Who could want it? Think of it, that. Open borders. Who wants open borders where the world pours into our country? They take over our medical. They take over our educational facilities. They kill people. They murder people. We have terrorists. And you haven't seen the effect yet because they're just getting settled in. You know, it's like somebody, they're just getting settled in. Wait till you see how bad. These are the toughest people on earth. These are people coming out of the toughest prison. The Congo just released 22 people, the Congo, from prison. Where did you live in the Congo? In prison. What did you do? We don't want to say. So they come from Africa, they come from Asia, they come from South America, they come from the Middle East. What's happening to our country is unbelievable. They're poisoning our country, they're destroying our country, and we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. And I will fully, thank you, I will fully uphold the Second Amendment, so important. I will tell you, it's under siege. It's under siege, but we will uphold. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and a thing called voter ID. Voter ID. One-day voting, paper ballots, voter ID, and by the way, we added a new proof of citizenship. It would be nice if you could prove yours. The Democrats don't want that. You know, they fight like hell. We don't want voter ID. Why don't you want it? You know, the Democrat convention last time, you had to get in, you had to have a sign, like it was a billboard that they hung on, bigger than your chest if you had a rather small chest, but bigger than your chest. That had your name, it had everything about you, it had your picture all over the place from different angles. But for voting, they don't want anything, they want nothing, because they're crooked, they want to cheat. But we're not going to let it happen, but we got to win this next election to get that change. And until then, all we have to do is win. Win, baby, win. But we want a landslide, because the way you really stop the cheating, you just make it too big to rig. You win by margins too big to win. I mean, we're winning now in states that nobody ever thought was possible for a Republican to win. I did, because I know what they do. But we're winning in, today, Minnesota. Think of it. But we're winning in Virginia. We're leading Virginia. Glenn Youngkin, we just met, and he's going to lead the effort to take that state. We think we can win Virginia. We're winning states that, in theory, weren't even talked about. And by the way, we're winning big in Florida, bigger than anybody's ever won before. We set every record. You know, we set every single record in Florida. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States, added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. He's the worst president. You know, until they did all of these horrible things with indictments, you know, that doesn't happen in this country. That happens in third world countries, in banana republics. I always treated the presidency with respect. And Biden, I wouldn't hit him that hard. I'd hit him hard. He's an incompetent president, let's face it. Jimmy Carter is the only one happy with Biden, because compared to Biden, Jimmy Carter's administration was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's the only one happy. But until this happened, with the lawfare, they call it, lawfare, warfare, weaponization, call it whatever, where they go after your political opponent, then I hit him hard. He's the most incompetent, the dumbest, he's just a horrible, horrible president. And I wouldn't talk that way. There's never been a president so bad. And it's true. I used to go the 5 worst, and then I said, you know, if you add up the 5, it's not even close. So I went to 7, 8, 9, 10. But literally, you could take the 10 worst presidents, add them up, and he's worse. He's worse. So if you want America, and if you want to save America, I'm asking everybody to go and swamp the voteusa.com, swamp the voteusa.com, to make a plan to vote either by mail or early in person or on election day. Just vote. You know, for some reason, evangelicals aren't big on voting. We have to they're all for us. But for some, I think it's a form of, I don't know, they just don't vote. We got to get the evangelicals to vote. They love Trump. They love you. They're great. But it's It's just something they don't vote. You know who else doesn't vote? The NRA gave us a full endorsement, the best endorsement you ever saw. But gun owners don't vote, you know. It's very surprising. We got to get people, gun owners, to vote. You're not going to have your gun very long if you don't. Because they want to take everything away. They want to take your guns away. They want to take your ammunition away. They want to destroy the Second Amendment. But we have to get the gun owners to vote. We have to get Christians, evangelicals to vote. We have to get out and vote. Just this one time. You give us this one time, we're going to straighten out our country. It's the most important election we'll ever have. And if you want to volunteer to help us turn out the votes in your neighborhood, sign up to get trained at TrumpForce47.com. TrumpForce47.com. We have to do a job here. We have to do a big, beautiful job. And just remember that date. Remember the date. And it comes earlier, you know, in Pennsylvania, it's September 22nd. In North Carolina, where we've taken the head of the Republican Party. We won that state so strong, so powerfully. He had 602 lawyers working for him so that they couldn't steal the vote. He was great. So Michael's here someplace, but he was the head of the North Carolina Republican Party, and what a job he did. And he's very focused on that. I actually tell our people, we don't need your vote. We got so many votes, we don't need them. We just don't want to see votes stolen. We don't want to say, you know, steal the vote. We're not letting it happen. We're not going to let it happen. It's not happening again. Our country can't take it, and we're not going to let it happen again. So you take a look in conclusion, and it's just a beautiful night. I hate to conclude. We should go on much longer. I hate to conclude. Congressman, I don't think we should conclude. Let's go on for a couple of hours more. We won't lose anybody. We won't lose anybody. But in conclusion, from Jacksonville to Miami, from Tampa to Tallahassee, from Pensacola right here in beautiful Palm Beach, we inherit the legacy of generations of American patriots who gave their blood, sweat, and tears to defend our country and to defend our freedom. We stand on the shoulders of American heroes who crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those great skyscrapers, won 2 world wars, and from right here in this beautiful state launched our brave American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the face of the moon. And it's happening again. What I've done for your Air Force and what I've done for Space Force, and so much of it comes right here, right from Florida. Together they made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world, but now we are a nation in serious decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, willpower, and strength. We are a nation that has lost its way, but we are not going to allow this horror to continue. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. With the right leadership, every disaster Joe Biden has created can be fixed, and we can fix it rapidly. Every problem can be solved, and every wrong can be rectified. By this time next year, America's borders will be shut, sealed, and secure. We will let people into our country, but we will let them in through a legal process. Inflation will almost immediately be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism and pride in our country will be surging. The American dream, which nobody talks about anymore, will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, will be a fading memory of the past, and our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the one shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th President of the United States. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of America. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God, and together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Florida. Thank you very much. God bless you all. God bless you. Thank you.
Hold on, somebody's coming back to the White House perhaps in November. We are going to see a big change when you head out on November 5th and make your voices heard, America. I'm Nikki Stanzione for RSBN, and it is so thrilling to be here watching President Trump on his birthday. What an amazing speech, touching on so many of the subjects and issues and things that we've been talking about all day.